Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. So there's been this narrative lately that TJ Watt has lost a step and he isn't worth the money. And it's coming from some insiders in the Pittsburgh media, the local media. And it's also coming from what I like to say, the national media. I don't know why that annoys some people. Well, you should get the gist when I see ESPN. ESPN is basically for the entire United States. They don't specifically cover the Steelers, but you get what I'm trying to say. So, if you asked any young person out there, if you said, who's the best pass rusher in the league? I guarantee they would say Max Crosby. And Max Crosby, he made the Pro Bowl, and he made the Pro Bowl handily with the amount of votes that he received. And most young people are just going to believe what they're told by ESPN. They're going to look at Max Crosby covered from head to toe in tattoos with his matching Gucci plaid outfits and his pocketbook. And they're going to say he has swag. So that, and he likes to talk a lot and do a lot of dumb things. I've watched some of his highlight clips and some of the stupid things that he does and says on the field. And they're just dumb, if you ask me. It doesn't really make him play any better. If you ask me, it's just done to get attention. So the average fan, the average younger fan is going to automatically think that Max Crosby is so much better than TJ Watt because TJ Watt is more of a, bring his lunchbox to work type player. He doesn't act like a celebrity, a superstar. He's definitely not wearing a pocketbook or matching Gucci, whatever the hell, whatever the definition of swag is these days. There's nothing swagful about a man in a pocketbook. I just don't get it. But hey, look at me. I'm wearing my famous Christmas sweater. So who am I to be the fashion police? But let's go over some things. And we always hear it's based on stats, that the numbers don't lie. Isn't that what we always hear? TJ Watt was nowhere near getting voted into the Pro Bowl. To me, it's just a popularity contest because it was based off production. And before I get into those stats, remember one thing. A stat came out a couple weeks ago about the amount of chips and double teams that TJ Watt receives compared to all the other pass rushers in the league. And it's not even close. TJ Watt gets chipped 100 more times than Myles Garrett. And then the list after that is non existent. So these other teams, they're not chipping Max Crosby. They're not, yeah, they pay attention to him. Obviously, you have to. He's an NFL player. But they're not game planning a whole game plan around him. And we know that. All you got to do is look at the stat. So let's look at the stats for the 2025 season. And it's just amazing because there really is this narrative that TJ Watt can't play anymore. And it really pisses me off. Tackles, Max 37, TJ 18. Assists, Max 22, TJ 29. The most important number, sacks. Max has 8, TJ Watt has 7. Wow! Oh my God, what a difference. Is anybody saying that Max Crosby can't play anymore? And what did we hear from Coach Tomlin the entire summer, the entire training camp? All we heard was this. We're going to line up TJ Watt different places this year so other teams don't know where he is, and we're going to get him some different looks. And have you seen that one time at all this year in 2025? No. So every week, offenses know exactly where TJ Watt is, and I'll get into that later. Pass defended, Max has 6. TJ Watt has 7. Interceptions, they're 1-1. Fumble recoveries, TJ Watt has 2. Max has none. Forced fumbles, TJ Watt has 3. Max has 2. In every single category this year, TJ Watt is beating Max Crosby in every category. And the only category that Max Crosby is leading TJ Watt in is sacks, and it's by 1. Max Crosby has 8, TJ Watt has 7. And let's get back into the chipping and the double teaming and the triple teaming. We all saw the stat a couple weeks ago. TJ Watt has 100 more chips than the next player, which is Myles Garrett. Do you have any responsibility as a journalist, meaning even the local Pittsburgh media? Do you have any responsibility to look at stats, put the time in, and research things before you say it? Never mind ESPN, because I already know what to expect from them. TJ Watt's, I'm not trying to get political or racial, but, he's just too boring for ESPN, his style. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's too boring. Not enough swag. He needs a pocketbook. Hey, TJ, let me put a couple tattoos on your face. Maybe we can get you into the Pro Bowl, buddy. Okay. Just a joke. That's really what it is. Total joke. But hey, Max Crosby's the best pass rusher that ever lived. Hasn't even reached 100 sacks yet, and he's in his ninth season. Eighth, whatever. You get the gist. But according to people, the fans in Pittsburgh, and according to a lot of Pittsburgh media, TJ Watt's not worth the money. He shouldn't have got that contract extension. Oh, really? We all know the game of NFL it's a predatory game. If they're not worried about you and you can't do anything, they're not game planning around. They're not chipping you. Fine. The last 2 weeks, our defense has not been able to beat backup offensive tackles. That's a fair statement. But when you look at the numbers and you see who made the Pro Bowl and you see who gets pushed the narrative that he's the greatest pass rusher ever, meaning Max Crosby, and then you say, you know what, pause, let me do some research. Let me see what's really going on here. And you heard what I just read to you. You see that that is clearly not the case. And if just by numbers and Max Crosby is the standard, then why are we talking about TJ Watt is not an excellent player anymore for the Steelers? It's absolutely ludicrous. There was also a report today, Aaron Rodgers, for his birthday, he had all the wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs over to his house. Ben Skowronek. I call him Skowronek. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. I do it all the time. Ben Skowronek. I say he looks like Bradley Cooper. I call him Bradley Cooper all the time. He brought a cake. They sung happy birthday to Aaron Rodgers, and they watched the film together. They went over plays. That's what leadership does. Again, with the fans in the Pittsburgh, ESPN and Chris Canty, Aaron Rodgers, he sucks. It seems to me he's the only person, he's one of the few players in Pittsburgh that actually care about winning. And he's been a leader on the field and off the field. Then you have an idiot like Nick Wright. He's not a good teammate. Hey, Nick, keep drinking the wine. I'd be drinking the wine too if I looked in the mirror or whatever. I'm out here to get in. I'm not exactly a fashion model, but I cannot stand Nick Wright. He just needs to shut up. Just shut up. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers isn't a good teammate. If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers wouldn't have won one game this entire year. And if it wasn't for him holding other players accountable, the team would have fell apart already. Because obviously, Coach Tomlin, we all know he doesn't like to hold players accountable. And that report came out today, too, from Nick Foles. Nick Foles was talking to insiders, and I don't need a report to know this already. And none of us need a report. But when NFL players come out and say they were talking to other NFL players, how Coach Tomlin doesn't hold guys accountable, you have a problem, because the NFL is a fraternity, and they usually don't criticize other NFL players in those types of in regards or manners. They just don't. It's very hard to get them to say something negative publicly, on the record or off the record. A lot of fans want to know why Terrell Austin never gets fired. Well, here, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Former Steelers defensive line walks through how teams play calling actually works on defense. Terrell Austin does call the plays. Fialco said of Austin during a Wednesday night interview with the 93.7 The Fans' Donnie Chedrick, "Make no mistake, the coordinators call their plays. But I'd be sitting here lying to the fans by saying that Mike Tomlin didn't have his paws on that and the game plan Monday through Friday. The blood and guts of it, the first, second down, third down, how ideas of, hey, this is what we need to run. And obviously, if you're a coordinator and your boss tells you, hey, okay, I see what you like, but this is what I like, everybody's going to do what their bosses say. If not, you're going to catch yourself jobless and finding another job. So yes, does Terrell Austin call the plays? 100%. But does Mike Tomlin have his paws on that blueprint? 100%. Fihoko also gave an example of Tomlin calling the plays. Are we calling this? I like this call. Fihoko gave as one example of how communication between Tomlin and Austin might go in a given moment. They're a big mesh team. I want this call on third down, and ultimately it's up to Terrell Austin to call it. He can call it or he won't. I mean, I didn't need to read this article to know that, but there you go. There you have it for the fans when they're always saying, why is it Terrell Austin haven't been fired? You know why? Because he's a yes man to Mike Tomlin. He's also a scapegoat for Mike Tomlin. He's also a camouflage for Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin is the one really running the defense. And when it all goes to hell, the light goes to Terrell Austin, because a lot of people think that he's the one just calling the defense and Mike Tomlin has nothing to do with it. But I say this all the time. Everything is from Tomlin. Everything. The defense, the offense, who plays, who gets drafted, who starts, who doesn't start. Tomlin has his hands in all of it. I mean, think about Dick LeBeau, the legend, the genius, the mastermind. Tomlin and Dick LeBeau were having, I wouldn't say confrontations, but they were having a difference of opinion. They were having philosophy differences. Everybody knows Dick LeBeau wanted rookies and younger players to sit on the bench and learn the defense, and Tomlin wanted those players to play right away. And Tomlin was trying to take power away from Dick LeBeau. And it basically Dick LeBeau resigned because he was going to be resigned to the same way that Austin is being used right now. Could you imagine Dick LeBeau right now getting blamed for what Coach Tomlin is doing to the defense? Because Tomlin needs that type of person to put the spotlight on. Dick LeBeau is not going to go for that. Remember what Bill Parcells said? They want you to cook the dinner, at least let you choose the ingredients. It's the same thing. And Tomlin was trying to do this to the legend Dick LeBeau. And Dick LeBeau said no. Do you really think that Dick LeBeau wanted to coach his last 2 or 3 years in Tennessee after a Super Bowl win? No, but Tomlin was trying to strip him of power. Tomlin was trying to make him a Terrell Austin. And Dick LeBeau said, peace, I'm out of here. And I don't blame him at all. So when Tomlin is known as this big defensive mastermind, since he got rid of Dick LeBeau, where's the defense been going? It's been going in the garbage can. Well, you're getting a lot of answers today, aren't you? I mean, I knew this, but I also like hearing it from a player for it to be confirmed. And there you go. You have your confirmation, what's actually going on. And let's go back to Dick LeBeau. This is what Coach Tomlin wanted for Dick LeBeau. He wanted the legend, the mastermind, the genius to be his Terrell Austin. And Dick LeBeau said no. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.